Good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone that has joined today, and thank you for being here. My name is Patricia Carbonell. I'm delighted to be here today to guide you, moderating this session. Today, we celebrate the 5th session of the EIT Community Water Scarcity Pitching Series. Today's event is led by the EIT Digital community, and with this one, we close the series of talks to Road to 2030. We've been discussing circular water cycles perspectives, ideas, and solutions to tackle water scarcity across Europe and beyond. So today's event, we want to tackle a key question, which is around, is it possible to manage water in a virtual world? This opens many different angles from political, social, economic regulations that we need to look at that goes beyond technology. But of course, technology is at the core of the solutions that will be proposed today. So we will be discovering which are those proposed solutions that the participants of today's competition, which we have 6 of them, will be presenting very shortly. My colleague, Jesus Contreras, is here with us today. The director of the EIT Digital community will be explaining in greater detail what this program is about and why we are here today. So without further ado, Jesus, if you are ready, I would love to listen to you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your introduction, Patricia. It's a pleasure to be here. Greetings from freezing Madrid. It's quite cold in here, but I understand that it's cold in the whole Europe. So my name is Jesus Contreras. I'm the director for EIT Digital South. South means the whole Southern Europe region from Portugal to Turkey. And I bet you that we do understand what the water scarcity problems are, and we live them almost every summer. So it's a huge topic for us, and it's one of the priorities we have. So, as Patricia has explained, this is part of the cross-kick activity, and this is called InnoWise Scale. And in this activity, what we do, we join together many communities, EIT Digital and EIT Food and so on, communities try to solve this problem of water scarcity. And the problem was water scarcity has many angles, and you may imagine that it's not easy to solve. But what we are doing here is we contact a huge company, huge organizations, we call them problem holders, that are fighting the problem and are on the market with fighting water scarcity. And we try to get them in touch with startups and scale-up, which is not always easy for small company, for startups to get in touch with huge corporation and huge organization. With new technology and with new ideas, fresh ideas. So this is the way we help these small companies to reach big companies, to get in touch, to understand what the challenges are, to understand how they can help. And we put them together and see whether it can contribute to this water scarcity problem. This process has started some months ago. So it started in May, where we have selected potential providers with technology, with ideas, with new solutions, and we put them in touch with these corporations, and we mentor them. We give them tools to improve their pitches, to improve their solution. And now is the final day where we will see which one of them has done the best job and which one of them has contributed mostly to the problem that the big corporation has set up. So now by the end of the month, by November, we will see. There are 3 prizes. We have first prize is equity for 12,000 euros. Second prize is 10,000 euros, and there is a special prize of 30,000 euros that will allow to set up a new demo. Will allow to set up a proof of concept to solve a particular problem in water scarcity. As Patricia has said, this is the last event. It's the EIT Digital, but we have had also EIT Manufacturing, Climate Kick, 2 of them from EIT Food. And in this last event, the problem holder, the big corporation that is behind is Cadagua, that is part of Ferrovial Corporation. Ferrovial is a huge infrastructure management corporation with almost 100,000 employees. So they do really know what the problem of treating water or water scarcity is. And we have also selected 6 startups that would scale up, that would try to solve the particular challenge that Cadagua has pointed out. So this is the agenda for today. We will first hear our colleague from Cadagua on a keynote, Javier Arrieta. He will explain what the case study is. Then we will listen to all the 6 pitches. And after the break and after the roundtable, we will see who won the special prizes, who won the first and second prize. So this is really exciting because I'm looking forward to see which solution can get the prize. And I invite you to follow all the sessions. So welcome and cross your fingers for the best solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesus. I think that was a perfect overview, and thank you for presenting what's coming next, because with this, I would like to give the floor directly to Javier Arrieta. He's the R&D and Innovation Manager at Cadagua. So welcome, Javier, and the floor is yours to present the case and the challenges that you presented.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Should I share the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Can you see it?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Great. So first of all, good morning, everybody, and thanks a lot for this opportunity. Okay, to present our challenge. First of all, also congratulations, okay, to the entire EIT organization for developing this InnoWise process. It's been a great experience, very refreshing, to say the least, and also a unique opportunity, I think, to meet a wide group of innovative startups, even beyond the 6 companies assigned to Cadagua's challenge, I must say. Okay, so hopefully we have all opened several opportunities for future collaborations with some of them. Well, and of course, among the 6 assigned companies, there are plenty capacity, okay, to solve our challenge, as we will for sure see on the following pitching session. But first of all, let me make a very brief introduction of our company. Jesus has already mentioned some of the features. First and most important is to mention that, like I said, you all know by now, is that we belong to Ferrovial Group. Ferrovial, as you know, is a leading infrastructure and service operator worldwide. Nowadays, around 80,000 employees. Ferrovial operates its 4 business lines, which are construction, services, airports, and toll roads in almost all continents. Okay, so as you can imagine, and as you can see on this slide, the universe of Ferrovial is huge. Okay, and Cadagua, despite being a relatively small company within the group, we consider ourselves highly relevant for our contribution to the general sustainability objectives of the group, since our business, which is obviously water treatment, is in line with many of the 17 goals of sustainable development of the United Nations. And I think that is something worth working for. So these are the more specific historical numbers of Ferrovial Construction. Okay, Ferrovial Construction is the business branch of the group where Cadagua is located, with more than 90 years of experience and with projects in almost 50 countries, obviously highways, tunnels, bridges, but of course water treatment plants, which is basically what we do, okay, Cadagua. So just to clarify, our business, Cadagua's business, is not the complete water cycle. We only manage the design, construction, and operational maintenance of treatment plants. It's also important to point out that we are also committed with project finance and PPP schemes, which is very important. So basically, Cadagua services includes everything from the design to the financial and operation of the plants, and obviously research and development as well. Well, this slide is basically, and the following one shows our, in a very summarized way, our references in big numbers. of the different kind of plants. Water treatment plants, industrial treatment plants, wastewater, drinking water, desalination plants, reuse, which is very important nowadays, and so on. And also O&M. Operational maintenance is a very, very big business as well. And it's precisely in this part of our business where our challenge lies, okay, as we will see later on. Just to give you an idea, these are just a selection of the many references, national and international references that we have. But I think these pictures help you, everybody, to understand what we do at the end of the day. Nevertheless, the pictures that I've just shown you are huge installations, and for this challenge we want to focus on the small plants, which are also very, very important. Small municipal and industrial treatment plants often lack qualified personnel to ensure that the appropriate decisions are made to guarantee not only a good maintenance, but something which is very important, a good quality of the effluent and the treated water. So likewise, many of these plants are geographically isolated as well, and the degree of automation and connectivity sometimes is low. Okay, sorry. So the current solution is somehow, we believe, is ineffective. And now I'm going deeper now into our challenge. For example, to have a qualified plant manager wasting sometimes much of his time traveling between various plants to carry out inspections, gathering data, instruments, readings, and so on. So the challenge that we bring is based on the developing of a digital tool for capturing and visualizing multi-parametric data in these small plants in such a way that a non-skilled operator could gather data in a very simple way on his daily plant maintenance route through a series of tools and apps, like taking photographs with a mobile phone, or even through image recognition of instruments. Also, we want to try the thermal temperature measurement of motors or bearings, analogic and digital signals reading, and of course also some manual entry of laboratory analytical results and so on. But to develop a tool to do this in a very simple way. All this information from multiple plants would be displayed online in a tailor-made dashboard, and a qualified technician online will be able to analyze several installations on a daily basis, okay, to visualize trends, alerts, problems, and so on, and make decisions that can guarantee the good operation of the plant and the quality of the water in a cost-effective manner at the end of the day. An image is worth 1,000 words, so this schematic drawing, summarizes what we are looking for. And this installation, this specific installation that you see here, is the one that we have selected to perform the proof of concept. Okay, it is the industrial treatment plant of Heineken factory in Valencia. It's a facility that Cadagua built many years ago, and that we also operate since then. It seems to us perfect for the POC because it is easy to access. It represents a full-scale POC. We have also qualified personnel on site who can help us to, and obviously it's a plan that we know perfectly. Okay, so what we will do here will allow us also to confirm the usefulness of this application, to correct errors, to fine-tune the solution, and to estimate also much better the cost of implementing this solution on a full-scale facility somewhere else. Okay. So here you can see a side view of the plant. Basically, it combines anaerobic pretreatment, which is quite typical in these breweries, with energy recovery of the biogas, of course, biological secondary treatment, in this case with nitrogen and phosphorus removal, and finally sludge thickening and dewatering. Okay. So together with the plant manager, we have selected a limited number of equipment and instruments whose data we would like to collect with this new developed tool, and this POC at this POC stage. Okay, so in this image you can see where these data are physically located within the plant, and the plant operator on a daily basis or as established will gather. Okay, with the tool. So this is in summary also a summary of the selected elements for the POC that we have shared with the candidates companies, okay, which are basically data from the laboratory results, temperature or vibration readings of some motors and bearings to detect vibrations. Because when there is a problem in a bearing or in equipment in a motor, the temperature tends to increase. So we can detect problems in advance and take the necessary measures like change it or oil it or whatever is required, okay, before it's too late, let's say. So also the reading of some level indicators in a chemical storage tank, we will prefer this to be done through a image recognition software, but it could also be done manually, we will see. Also the reading through image recognition of an analogic signal. We have chosen oxygen in the biological reactor, for instance, plus the reading of some digital signals in the SCADA, basically the status of a pump, okay, on, off, and so on. So we estimate that the performance of this at full scale in a small, medium-sized wastewater treatment plant would require obviously many more signals. Okay, but this is part of the POC to establish the economical analysis of the full scale installation. So in summary, okay, I'm finishing now. Data has a critical role. Okay, we know that on this sector, it can help us to increase the overall efficiency of the service. Modern, super automated and connected plants do not have data management problems. What we intend with this initiative is to, let's say, somehow to universalize the potential of digital technologies and cloud environment for small plants and isolated plants. This is our goal. So thanks a lot. Okay, this is my presentation. Thanks a lot for your time and for organizing this competition.
Thanks a lot, Javier. I think that was a fantastic presentation and it set the scene very well. And I hope that the participants now are ready because now we are jumping into the innovators pitching session. So let the competition begin. I'm really looking forward to discover what they have been working on, what they are willing to propose. Not only to Kadawa, of course, to collaborate in these challenges, but also to make more impactful and innovative solutions that can really contribute to better and more sustainable and more efficient water management systems, especially on these wastewater solutions. So I'm gonna start by calling in the first video presentation. We will start with Pedro from Germany, and the way that we are gonna do this is by presenting each of the videos, and then we will allow a 4-minute Q&A with the jury members. So a very warm welcome to the jury members. We have here Samuel Rufo, Victor Monsalvo, and Lydia Bampakiridu. Not sure if I pronounce it well, but thank you so much for being with us today, and try to keep the questions and answers short and concrete so we can have enough time for everyone to address the comments. So let's begin with Pedro from Germany.
Hi, my name is Blind Strona, founder and CEO at Pedro. Our mission at Pedro is to preserve water, and this is the reason we're developing our self-powered monitoring solutions for drinking water networks. Water is one of the most important resources and access to it a human right. And yet, utilities are facing different kinds of challenges from urbanization to aging infrastructures to high energy prices. And pipes remain mostly unmonitored and lose water through undetected leakages or pipe bursts. Water monitoring nowadays, when it's done through a mix of costly wired solutions or battery-powered solutions that can only send data once or twice per day. And this limitation leads to less information what is really happening in the water infrastructure, and thus lead to 30% on average of water loss worldwide. Of course, this is a challenge utilities would like to solve with so-called smart water networks, which are basically IoT sensors that talk to a cloud-based solution and can help pre-locate or detect leakages. And here again, each sensor which is installed in this kind of scenario needs a reliable power supply. It needs a data logger and a data transmitter and an expert who can bring all these things to a solution. Of course, this is not very scalable, and this is one of the reasons why we developed our PT1, which can send data in real time or near real time once it's installed. We basically harvest energy at the point of use out of the water flowing through the pipe. We use this energy to power the internal sensors and transmitter, and we can measure flow, pressure, and temperature at the point of use. We see what we offer not only as a device, but we see more water monitoring as a service we offer to the customer. And this is why we have the sensing as a service offering for the customer. At the moment, we are in the pilot phase. We have some installations up and running and planning more installations. For this, we're looking for pilot customers and looking at the opportunity. In Europe alone, we have got on average 23% of water loss in the 4.5 million kilometers of pipe network. So this is a big challenge Europe is facing. Our offering is, like I said, a sensing as a service. The customer pays 2,500 euros for the device at the beginning, and a monthly payment for the sensing as a service, which includes the fleet management of their firmware updates and so on. Our competitors so far are battery-powered solutions, solar-powered solutions, and grid-connected solutions. And of course, there are some startups out there that harvest energy and power systems in the water infrastructure. Our USP here is we have got a solution that is scalable. Once it's installed, can send data right away. And this is unique in the market. So far, this is our team, engineers, and we are a very diverse team. And this is Pydro in a nutshell. We're looking for partners for pilot installations, and happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Morning. Morning.
Hello. So, who starts the questions? I can't hear anything.
Go ahead, Lydia.
All right. My first question is your flow meter. You said it's designed for water distribution networks, which means clean water. Can it also work for wastewater networks?
Well, in theory, yes, if the wastewater network, or at least the water, they has got a specific quality. So meaning after treating it, for example, or if it doesn't have too much of debris into the water.
Thank you. Can't hear you.
Samuel, we cannot hear you. No, I don't know why. Maybe we continue with Victor while you try to check the audio.
All right, thank you. So my question is very specific. As long as in the water sector we use very diverse devices and equipment, how is the compatibility of your system if we have to integrate in a global control process that we already implemented?
So there are two different types of flow meters. Ones are mechanical flow meters. Other ones are magnetic inductive flow meters, which are sometimes battery powered, sometimes grid connected. So the difference there is with our solution, it is plug and play. So we don't need an external power supply. We can send data right away in comparison to a battery powered solutions that can only send data once per day to have a battery lifespan of 5 years. So the difference there with our solution is it's an end-to-end solution that is can send data right away and in real time.
Thank you.
Samuel, can you try speaking now?
He's muted, I see.
No, he's unmuted now. Samuel? Okay, we wait a few seconds. Okay. Yeah, Lydia, you wanted to mention something?
I don't know. I mean, do you want me to ask another question or are we waiting?
No, I think you can ask another question and then we will go to the next company. Yeah.
Right. How does your meter operate in terms of battery and battery life or energy?
So the USP of our solution is it can harvest energy out of the water pipe. That means we've got a hydro unit integrated that can generate power out of the water thrown to the pipe. And we harvest energy during the day. And during the day, we can charge a battery for times where the flow is not very high enough to harvest energy. With this operation, we can have, we can send data in near real time. That means every minute without changing the batteries for a lifespan of about 7 to 10 years.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about the.
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I just, I don't know if you answered that question before because I lost my connection here. For the future, so I understand that you're mainly focused in Europe, where you can use your platform. Have you given any thought for the future how to establish communication? Because I assume you use the current infrastructure. How to use your solution in places where they're so remote that you don't have access to such network infrastructure. Have you given any thought to that?
Yes. So at the moment, we can send data through LTE Cat-M1. This gives us the opportunity to send data in real time or near real time. And also we can do over there firmware updates. So this is one option we have. We have got a fallback option of 2G for locations where there's no LTE Cat-M1. And for the future, we have thought about other concepts. So sending data via a GPS, via satellite connectivity. But this is something we don't have integrated at the moment. We might think about that in the future if necessary. But for now, it's LTE Cat-M1 and 2G connectivity in the device.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you. Okay, so we'll see you later, Murundo, in the award ceremony. In the meantime, let's continue with the next company. It's Blue Gold from Italy.
Hello to everybody. My name is Andrea De Logu, and I'm the CEO and founder of Blue Gold, an SME that has been selected for the Cadaguas Challenge. Our view for the challenge is to turn Cadaguas data into a source of useful information. Blue Gold is an Italian applied engineering company with the mission to preserve water resources both in industrial and water utility application, leveraging our patent-pending solution which allow our customers to acquire water parameters from their infrastructure. Today, with more than 1,000 installations, we are managing with our infrastructure more than 1.4 million measures every day. Blue Gold teams, aka Blues, include external and internal water passionate business partners. With me is Martina Gandolfi, which is a mathematical engineer in charge of algorithm design and development. And in outsourcing, we have device R&D production, IT infrastructure and design, Salesforce, operation, and of course, legal and administrative. The advisory boards include Severino Melegalli and Francesco Viola, which are two professors in the University of Bocconi and University of Cagliari. The Cadagua challenge is to transform the daily data collection of non-skilled operators in the small industrial plants because they need to facilitate the collection of digital, analog, and manual data during the maintenance route.
Our proposition is a simple tool that digitalizes data. Non-skilled operators will be able to record data and send them to our platform. Then the data will be turned into useful information and dashboard very easy to read. It will be also possible to set up alarms in case of anomalies. Our solution minimizes error and working time.
I'm sure that Blue Gold solution can cover all the Cadagwa's water challenges, making smarter their digital journey. Hello to everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear
Who
me?
starts the question this time?
You can start it if you want.
Again? All
Yeah.
right. I'm asking the first one. What about image processing? I mean, you said about digital analog signals and manual signals. What about digital processing? Your application can handle image processing.
Actually, for the Cadagwa challenge, we are acquiring picture, but actually we are not recognize images, let's say. The idea basically is just to digitalize the data that today they are acquiring manually and give them let's say a dashboard, a tool that allow them to collect data, analyze data, apply algorithms, which are our core business, and provide them useful information to reduce the impact in the water resources. I don't know if I answered, Lydia.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. I would like to know what is exactly or if you want to stress some points of your added value compared to other solutions existing in the market, and if you can quantify this added value over others.
Absolutely. I consider that our solution is an end-to-end solution. Today in the market, there are hardware producers or say web platform producers that collect data. But in the market, there are no companies that are providing all the value chain. So from the digitalization of the data, so from the tools that make digital every measure, every parameter, to a dashboard with customized dashboard, let's say to a platform with customized dashboard that allow to our customer to create and acquire value from the data, for the data treatment. Actually, we are an engineering company that, for that reason, we jumped to electronics to produce our devices, because our nature was hydraulic engineer. But due to the lack in the market of this, let's say, end-to-end solution, because the producer of devices are not the same people that treat the data. So we face a lot of issues with the tools in the market. So that was the reason, because we applied for grant in Italy to cover our R&D development that was almost a couple of years, like 5 years, to produce and to have this solution that can be applied not only for, let's say, water distribution network, which was our core for water utilities, but also in agriculture, where we have some patent pending registration, and of course in wastewater treatment. So the idea basically now that we cover, and we are able, because we need data, we are able to cover all the process, let's say, from the data source to the digitalization of that.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
I also have one question. Thank you for your presentation, first of all. So you rely on an operator, which is the one responsible, or several operators, which are the ones responsible for partly gathering the data. That can be maybe prone to error or data misuse. So do you take that also into account to how to distinguish between the right data and the false data or the erroneous data that you can be gathering?
That's absolutely a good question. Okay, one of the main reasons because of our proposal, let's say, to Cadagwa, is to take a picture of every measure that they are digitalizing. So we have the double check from the picture, for example, a reading of a meter consumption or a parameter of temperature or whatever. And so we take a picture of the value and we ask to the operator to acquire the data, digitalizing the mobile phone, their data. So that's why we have both control of the information. This was already, let's say, a challenge that we had for the water utilities, because where the operator go to read the meter for the billing, often they make errors acquiring the numbers of this. So that's why we ask always to take a picture of the value of the parameter, to have a double check, and also to digit the value. Of course, we reduce drastically the manually work of that. At this stage, we are not working, as I told to Lydia before, in the recognition of the image. That's supposed to be another extension of the application, because we don't need it at this stage, because we develop devices that acquire digitally let's say the information, like pressure, like flow, and so on. So at the end, that is just a small part of our value proposition, to digitalize the information that we read, that the operator read in the field. It's, let's say, the first step to go in the digitalization process.
Do you think it would be foreseeable in the future just to keep the operator role in this chain and just automatize the whole chain? Is that feasible, in your opinion?
Okay, my suggestion is always to put devices that acquire continuously information and parameter. Why? Because you cannot understand how it's working a plant if you don't acquire continuously information and measure. Consider that our devices acquire every minute, sampling every minute the information, parameter, temperature, flow, and pressure mainly, which are the main, let's say, parameter that are needed to be acquired for the water management of the infrastructure, let's say. But in this case, their challenge was just to digitalize this kind of information that today are acquired manually. Of course, we told them that they need to install devices, smart devices. The idea for us is that before to go with algorithms, which was our core at the beginning, you need to have data. With data, you can do whatever you want. So the first step is to allow them to go through the digitalization process, digitalizing the information that today are acquired manually. That was our proposal.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrea. Yeah, thank you for your answers, and good luck. Did you ask your question, Lydia?
Yes, but I wanted to clarify something about the last question now that was asked for someone else, if you have the time.
We need to stick to the one question each, otherwise it's a bit unfair for everyone else.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so let's continue with the next company, SenseFix, from Poland.
Hello everyone. Nearly 9 million professionals work in operations and maintenance to keep the machines and devices in our buildings and facilities up and running. They all struggle with too many disconnected tools. And they lack the awareness about the water they consume or waste. There is no tool that benchmarks the amount of water involved in any operations and maintenance workflow in industrial facilities and commercial buildings. We believe what happened to energy consumption management a few years ago is what is going to happen with water consumption management in the near future. And SenseFix is in the best position to make this happen. Today, SenseFix solution uses AI to automate operations and maintenance, to integrate the intelligence directly into the O&M, eliminating all the human touch points. With SenseFix, a coffee machine in your office or a motor in a factory would launch by itself a Slack-like channel, pulling onto it the nearest authorized service professional who can fix it, the facility or the plant manager, and you. This is the Sense channel, the future of maintenance ticketing, that sits over SenseFix's backend automation platform, where workflows are digitized in a matter of few minutes, or our multimodal AI will scan the technical documents and pick up the workflow, which then governs how the device will take care of themselves. We dream of a world where not just the coffee machines or the motors, but every device out there can automatically search, find, schedule and manage its maintenance by itself. Our self-scheduling and self-ticketing enterprise SaaS platform lies at the intersection of computerized maintenance management systems, CMMS, and other software categories that have all attracted hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in the last decade, and we are redefining it with new tech. And we are customizing our multimodal AI technology to create water awareness, digitalize, benchmark and monitor that ultimately leads to savings in water consumption. Our first customer chose us over a market-leading ticketing software. Today they pay a fraction and save the cost of one business analyst. We sell as an enterprise SaaS, focusing on commercial buildings and industrial facilities. Our current prospects include OEMs and facility management companies. We are in consultations with Kadagua as a part of this program. We differentiate ourselves over our competition by being the most infrastructure integrated solution out there. And our AI models are trained domain specific to the O&M domain to identify and quantify water in a video, or use OCR technology to digitalize water readings, scan printed or handwritten text used by service technicians, or label every step of a maintenance workflow for the amount of water consumed, and benchmark an entire workflow, an entire service workflow for its water footprint. A founding team of ex-Google, Sun Microsystems, graduates of MIT, Indian Institute of Technology, all bring in more than 100 man-years of industrial AI experience to the table. We also have few top-notch domain experts and ex-CEOs advising us. We were awarded a $2.5 million EU grant to build world's first multimodal AI, well trained for the operation and maintenance domain. We are eagerly awaiting to succeed in this EIT water scarcity program and attract the attention of EU policymakers. Our technology can provide them with a tool to establish the first steps in the industry toward creating a water footprint of the future. I am Balaji Renukumar, the founder and CEO of SenseFix. Thank you InnoWise and EIT Water Scarcity for this opportunity. Hello. Hi,
Hello.
good morning.
This time I'm not asking the first question. Someone else.
Sorry, I take your position. No worries. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. And I don't know if you are facing same problem that we are living, as long as in the water industry with solutions similar to SenseFix. As long as we manage critical infrastructures, our clients, our partners, sometimes they limit their acceptance of these kind of solutions due to cybersecurity. How you are solving this problem from SenseFix?
Yeah, so we are in certain projects in consortiums, and there is a cybersecurity solution partner usually. Of course, we are not providing, as a platform provider, our solutions are following the usual encryption and other, up to the level of online banking, etc. But of course, we cannot claim that we are completely cyber secure. In some of the smart city and smart building projects, as well as smart factory projects, there is a cybersecurity solution provider, and yeah, so that's all I can tell about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I go ahead and ask. The one question I had, from my understanding, is so you are able to schedule maintenance or any repair. You just establish the connection to a technician in order to perform this whatever action is needed to be making. To the technician itself, does the technician need to be part of your platform, or you are open to anyone available in a certain range, or how do you pick how do you schedule the maintenance and repair?
Yeah, so
in a practical way.
Yeah, so this is like an internal marketplace. So this is not a marketplace solution where we will find a technician like Uber or any other service. So when we sell we sell to a plant owner or a company which is managing a facility, and their technicians also
Okay,
use
it's
our
already
apps.
available. Yeah, understood. Okay,
And
so they're integrating the platform.
Yes, so they usually already are trying to do some apps. So we, white label and integrate our features behind their existing apps. So we augment their existing solution.
Yep. Thank you.
How do you detect the need for repair? I mean, there are two routes. One is that you have an anomaly, a pump stopped working or something, or the second is preventive. I mean, it has not been, I don't know, changed for 5 years. So which route do you use?
Yeah, so we use right now both the routes. So we onboard the IoT sensors, and we have an automated data reading from the IoT sensors, and then our main offering to our customer is a platform where they can do it themselves. We are trying to market a new term called "do it yourself AI," because most of the AI, to implement, especially in the industrial segment, people have failure because of various reasons. So we want to give them a tool to say, for example, take the CCTV camera recording by yourself in an easy way, and then also set some text extraction, retrieval, text summarization, conversational AI. We have packed all these different text NLP and image AI features into one platform, easy to use, so that users can define their own AI requirements. So we onboard the all the IoT sensors, of course they have, and employ text and image features to detect if something is scheduled, or if some sensor has reported some anomaly, and based on that, they will be we'll be finding the required technician and plan, and then also dispatch the job. And also one more important point, our algorithms calculate what inventory, what spare part, what consumable, what vehicle, and what tool the people has to take. So the AI does the job of whatever is done today manually by the plant manager or his the superintendent, in terms of logging into SAP, opening Excel sheets, or opening books. All that is fully unmanned with our platform. Of course, we cannot claim it is already working 100% unmanned. With our a lot of POC customers, they up to let's say 92 to 95% unmanned operations in the planning and dispatch phase of the job.
Thank you so much, everyone, for the questions and your answers, Balaji.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. Good luck. We continue with the next company, which is Wakaru Consulting from Portugal.
Hi, I'm João Mugeiro, and I'm here to present you Wakaru and WaterWise system. Why? Well, because there is water scarcity, because there is non-revenue water, and because we can help water utilities to be more efficient and having more water available. We've designed WaterWise system. It's a big data, AI, IoT, real-time analytical and predictive solution to reduce water losses. Let's find more about it. Well, it transforms all the data available in the water utility, the relevant data, into actionable insights, from abstraction up to distribution, down to reclaimed water. Well, we know there is some competition, there are some other options, but what we also know is that there is no other solution so wider, so easier to use, so faster to implement, and so cheaper to pay. Let's see. The key differentiators. Well, most important is we tackle water and energy at the same time at the level of a water utility. We are agnostic to data sources and also agnostic to clouds. You can implement it in a commercial cloud, in a private cloud, in our cloud. Very easy to use. In fact, we create redundancy over the systems available, the systems like SCADA, like telemetry, like other information you may have, and still you have a better insight on all the information available. These are some examples. A geoanalytical view of everything in the water networks with main KPIs to tackle with, some events that we can identify over all of the type of information that we are using, like flow, pressure, water quality parameters, energy consumption, and others, also to give you a deep analytics on the available information for each sensor, and creating a ranking, okay, between DMAs to go to the work and to the field and do some works, also some benchmarks, and of course, an energy analysis. This is an example of an abnormal event identified by the WaterWise system. It was an abnormal consumption event, like a burst, and in fact, it was provoked by a constructor. So you can do some pedagogy or something in voice, but you have the accurate information and when it started and when it ended and what was the amount of water lost in this event. The business model, it's also very comprehensive. It's a fee for the onboarding, okay, and a monthly fee, like a software as a service, where you pay a fixed fee per month per sensor that you want to monitor. Most of the business models, most of the business cases that we've developed represented 8% or below 8% of your annual real losses. We already have some customers, we already are running some proof of concepts for WaterWise system, and we want to grow. We know it's a long sales cycle, but in the end, there is a lot of money to help water companies, water utilities to gain in their operation, and of course they can share it with us. We are looking for networking and funding. We want more customers, we want more partners, and we want investors. This is some financial view of what we are talking about. So as you see, the investment could be somehow significant, but also look at the revenues. We are talking about 66% of the EBITDA in 5 years. We already have also some prizes and some recognitions all over the world. This is the great team, Vitor Priska as the CEO, Paul Stevens as the head of innovation, R&D, and me for business development. And also, we count on shareholders and advisors like Portugal Ventures and Union Venture Builders. Hope to hear from you soon. Hi, good morning, Lydia, Victor, Samuel.
Hello.
Good morning. So I guess it's my turn to start this time. I have one question. So my understanding is you monitorize the whole water consumption of a certain client, and you can detect some events, as you explained before. Are you able, after gathering the whole information for a certain time, are you able to provide to the client some maybe improvement that they can do, or they can perform some actions in order to either save water or to improve their water consumption and so far and so forth with the data you've gathered?
Oh, sorry, Samuel.
Yeah, it's
okay, thank you for your question. In fact, the answer is yes. Depending on the data that we are monitoring with WaterWise system, okay, and again, it doesn't matter how it comes to WaterWise system. We can identify abnormal events, so a different behavior from what we are expecting. And with the appliance of using predictive models, we can identify areas of the network, areas of an infrastructure, depending on the amount of sensors that are deployed, to identify, well, as we say in the video, actionable insights to improve the operation of, it could be equipment, it could be a network, it could be whatever we are monitoring within a water utility regarding water, potable water or wastewater.
So that I assume that's a part of your service provided.
I didn't understand the question, Samuel.
So I assume that's a part of the service you provide to future improvement.
Yes, well, WaterWise system is a software as a service. Okay, so you as a user, you have direct access to all the information, and we are here with some of our colleagues, some engineers, to help you to identify better things. Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel.
Am I asking second?
Please.
All right. All right. Types of data you can collect. You talk about SCADA system, which you can integrate. My question is, what about other types of data, like external satellite data, for instance? Can we implement them in the system?
Yes, one of the examples of satellite data that we can integrate, it's data related to images that identify the moisture on the soil, for instance.
Right. And what about image processing? I mean, cameras, CCTV, for instance, taking an image of something, a break.
Yes, I know you love that question, and thank you for the question, Lydia. Well, this video was, I would say, a global video, a general video for the InnoWise Scale edition, where we are present, but particularly for Cadagua. We also want to add to all the investment already made by them in equipments, well, actually by the owner of the water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, which is not Cadagua, an equipment, it's a smartphone, okay, with some features that allows to measure temperature and allows to use the optical, the name it's optical character recognition. So you can use the image taken from the smartphone and identify the critical data that you want to monitor.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. I'd like to know how your solution could impact on the savings of chemicals and how can facilitate the entrance of renewable energy in the water cycle.
Okay, thank you for the question, Victor. Actually, we talk always about the water energy nexus, and it's important to have, once again, data. And for WaterWise system, doesn't matter how you are getting the data. It could be manual data, Excel files, it could be SCADAs, it could be telemetry, whatever. And once you understand what's happening, once you really understand the real information and where it should be, I would say, moving, okay, so with the higher and lower limits of the behavior of each of the sensors or of each of the data sources that you are using, you can optimize the production, you can optimize the operation. And in that sense, when you understand if you are being efficient or not, if you are using all the data and you know what is the better behavior and you can analyze the deviations, you can understand how and when to improve using other energy, like renewable sources of energy, like hydrogen, it could be solar panels, it could be something. But first, we want to understand. So in Wakaru, we say no to change. First, you need to know, and then, yes, you can optimize it. And that's what
Thank you.
WISE system.
Great.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay, thank you. There's no more questions. Thank you, Joao. We'll see you later in the award ceremony.
I'm leaving now. Thank you.
Thank you. So we continue with BioWave Technologies from Ireland.
Hello, I'm Ken McGrath, CEO of BioWave Technologies. The problem I want to introduce today is that of wastewater sludge. It's produced in vast quantities every day in Europe alone, and the treatment and disposal costs are extremely high. However, it has enormous unrealized renewable energy potential in the form of biogas or biomethane. In fact, the International Energy Agency estimate that global biogas potential is 570 million tonnes of oil equivalent, but our actual production is less than 6% of this, and wastewater makes up a tiny fraction of that. However, the European Biogas Association estimate that wastewater potential could increase 7-fold if properly harnessed. This would equate to the energy consumption of the EU construction industry. Our solution to this is BioWave. We take sludges from a variety of industrial sources, and in particular wastewater treatment plants, and process them through our continuous flow thermal pretreatment system, where the sludge is then forward fed to a biogas or biomethane plant. We've demonstrated that we can increase biogas yield by over 30% through this method. Our technology features include energy efficiency, very fast treatment time, superior breakdown of sludge, and a highly scalable solution. Our industrial development over the last 3 years has seen us go from TRL 5 to TRL 7, increasing our throughput and capacity at each stage. There's been over 3 million invested from EU and private sources, and the technology is in the late stages of full patent approval. Our value proposition for wastewater sludge is as follows. We've demonstrated almost a 40% increase in biomethane yield through our pretreatment versus not treating the sludge at all. This typically enables a 3-year payback for end users and helps in the goal of increasing biomethane from wastewater sludges 7-fold. But can we compare this to conventional thermal treatments, such as the one in the background? And the answer is yes. Our install cost per ton of dry solids can be up to 30% cheaper. We do not require pressure or steam, and our footprint is considerably smaller. This all adds up to much lower system complexity. The market opportunity here is significant. With a CAGR of 8.5%, the global waste-derived biogas market is expected to reach over 120 billion by 2030. Our business model is to partner with global industrial, AD and wastewater treatment companies in the industrial, food and drink and municipal sectors. Our unit and financial projections are 30 installs between now and 2028, with revenue over 25 million, which is supported by maintenance and support contracts and also licensing. Our commercial roadmap: this year alone, we've secured over $500,000 in innovation funding and developed our full-scale design. And we are now looking for 2.5 million of a raise from a strategic wastewater treatment partner. This would enable us to initiate our full go-to-market strategy, where we have identified 2 sites in particular for full-scale deployment, and we would develop our sales pipeline with our strategic partner also. This will enable us to reach our unit and revenue goals. Our team is made up of management, chemistry, engineering and design professionals, and we've had support from a variety of organizations across Europe over the past number of years. We are now ready to partner with ambitious and globally focused wastewater treatment companies, and I look forward to discussing more. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to highlight, obviously, we are not a digital company, and I'm sure you're obviously aware of that by now, but any questions you have, I'd be delighted to answer.
Yeah. May I shoot first?
Yes.
So I've got a question. Well, first, thank you very much for your contribution and presentation. And I would like to know what is exactly the targeted wastewater treatment plants in terms of capacity or geographies, etc., for your solution, and the impact that you potentially can have to tackle water scarcity issues.
So in terms of scale of plant, for municipal sector, we would look at plant size around 10,000 to 250,000 P equivalent. In the industrial sector, obviously, what we are looking more at is the food and drink sector. So this could be dairy processing and food production. And again, they would be medium to large size units. And then I think the second part of your question was, what would the impact be? So typically with these sludges, in a lot of cases, they are not valorized on site through the anaerobic digestion process. That may be because they're surface activated sludge or high fat content sludge. So what we've been able to demonstrate is that we can save the end user the disposal costs and then increase the value of these sludges through biomethane production of over 30% in almost every scenario.
All right, thank you.
Can I go next?
Yes, please.
All right. You're not a digital solution, obviously, but I would like to ask you about it. What are the digital needs for your innovation? What type of surveillance or monitoring do you need?
It's a great question. It's something that is important to us through our design, is that we have, through the development, have a very sophisticated SCADA system where we will monitor and control the system as the sludge is passing through. For users, then this is obviously recorded and they can access the system remotely, and alarms, all very important KPIs are delivered to the user on a real-time basis. So it's an important part of our solution.
Thank you.
So yeah, you already answered my question, was also with regards to the monitoring and control of the system. If you can do it on site, you need remotely access. But on top of that, can you estimate, or do you have any numbers for do you have an impact of the amount of water you can reuse if you compare your system with a thermal one, for example? Is it going to be increased or decreased, or is the same with only to the water? Because I understand the sludge for the energy generation is a huge opportunity, but the water that remains in comparison with the thermal one, it's not clear for me it's going to stay the same or not.
It's typically around the same, Samuel. We take sludge at around the same dry solid content as a thermal treatment system would. So the water fraction of that, or the fraction that doesn't go for anaerobic digestion, would be handled in the same way that it is today in a thermal plant. So we're primarily just focused on the sludge fraction. And typically we would process sludge of maybe 10 to 15% dry solids.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you. We'll see you later.
See you later.
Okay, so now it's the time for the last company presenting today, which is Gridit from Italy.
Hello everyone, my name is Antonio Annis from Gridit Company, and I'm going to present you our solution on water scarcity in agriculture. So we know that land use and climate change is already affecting the agricultural sector because of population growth with diverse dietary habits, and to meet the competition of the industrial and energy sectors that are increasingly depending on biofuels. To address this issue, we propose the Rabbit Agri platform. It is a web GIS platform able to provide information on water viability and crop demand under different climate projections just with a click. The service is based on the application of an agro-hydrological model that is fed by satellite-derived dataset able to provide information related to the water viability given by climate condition and the crop demand based on the crop type and also the crop position. This is done in a WebGIS interface, so you just need a browser to use. We are going through a crucial moment for the agricultural sector because the European Agricultural Fund of Rural Development and the Italian investment given by the Next Generation EU are allocating an incredibly big amount of budget in the agricultural sector. The Rabbit Agri users will be public entities deputy to regional planning, where water resources management is of paramount importance, but also private companies related to the agri-food sector who have to know in advance their crop demands if climate has specific conditions. We have public entities partners, but also business partners due to our past activities in consultancy in flood risk and water resources management. And we now are carrying out activities related to the Rabbit Agri topic. In this field, there are some international organizations and universities, but few companies are trying to provide a service. And our strength is the connection between the water availability given by climate condition and water demand given by crop type and conditions. Our teams come from academia, but also consultancy in flood risk and water resources management, and we have our mentor, William Carbone, and we are supported by the Business Incubator Center of the European Space Agency. Our sales revenue model is based now on pre-sale activities and consultancy that will be replaced on the license fee of the Rabbit Agri platform. So we expect to expand our clients and also refine the user requirement of the platform. For this reason, we are looking for fundings to hire an agroecological model, a sales manager, but also expand our machine and our cloud platform. But we are also here to find business partners. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Well, I can ask if you want. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very nice topic. And I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit on your experience on how was your process to create the versions to gain the acceptance of the end users of farmers or associations. How was that? Tell us a little bit more about this.
Yes, actually, we started having some relationship with land reclamation consortium and river basin authorities because we had a past experience in flood risk. Then we developed some models related to more on the crop production and water availability, and we felt that these entities needed this information related to how much water to have to use for crop production here and in future projection. Since these companies, entities are connected to the water provision to agri-food sectors, for example, farms and other private companies, we are trying to set this solution and validate this solution with these entities.
Thank you.
Can I ask?
Please.
All right. My question is the pilot that Cadagua is offering for the proof of concept is about a wastewater treatment plant. Your innovation is about agriculture. How do you plan to apply it for the proof of concept in the offered plant?
Yes, we know that the solution is not strictly connected to the water plant solution, but we know that after the tertiary step of the wastewater, water can be used for agricultural purposes. So we expect to have a role in the final part of the wastewater when the water can be reused for agricultural purposes.
Thank you.
I have one last question. In order to compare the water availability and the water demand on your model, can you make an estimation or with regards to your model, how long in advance or how much time in advance can your model provide reliable information with regards to the water demands or the water availability?
Yeah, the model is based on real-time data and future projections. So, for example, we know that if this in real time, let's say, how if the crops are suffering for water stress or not. In this case, we can give in advance to the farmers information related to water needed for irrigation. Of course, we can also rely on weather forecasting to give in advance this information to the customers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Antonio, and the jury members for all the questions. I think with this last company presentation, we have finalized the pitching competition. So thank you very much and good luck to all of you. We will see you at 12:30 for the award ceremony. In the meantime, we are going to do a short break right now. And after that, the jury will be deliberating about the results and choosing the winners, 3 winners of the competition. And we also have a very interesting discussions with 3 leading experts in the water sector. We have Keith Hayes from Bluefield Research. We have Marina Arnaldo Orts from Setaqua. And as a moderator, we have Shion, co-founder and journalist at H2O Global News. So come back with us in 5 minutes, and we will start a very interesting discussion that will go beyond the technologies, but also how we can make better usage of digital tools to untap bottlenecks, opportunities, and see what's the bigger picture behind this topic that we have today around the virtual worlds and how to be more efficient in water management. So we'll see you in a bit, and thank you so much for joining. Okay, so we're back and we are really looking forward to meet our speakers today. If you are ready, Sean, Marina, and Keith, please feel free to come on stage. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. And Sean, the floor is yours, so feel free to introduce yourself and give the floor as well to the panelists. I think you are muted now.
Keith, nice to see you both again. I'm really looking forward to today's discussion, and thanks to the audience for joining as well. So today, our problem holder, we're going to try and find some insights and solutions for our problem holder, who is a wastewater treatment plant operator looking for ways to leverage digital tools to manage several of their plants remotely, but using the same manager, so that manager does not have to go to the plant each day. So the focus of today's discussion will be on digital twins, but we'll also discuss various tools and approaches to digital water management. Perhaps quickly, Marina and Keith, you could just do a 60-second introduction for our audience out there. Marina, we can start with you.
Sure. Well, I'm the Growth and Technical Solutions Director at TAQUA. And well, I have a pretty strong background on water treatment and water management over more than 10 years. I have a PhD and MBA, and I'm fully focused in my career in the implementation of innovations that can drive the transformation of the water sector.
Great. Thanks so much, Marina. And Keith?
Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Hayes. I'm the co-founder of Bluefield Research. We are an independent market insight firm focused on the water sector. So we do analysis, reports, consulting to support companies that are trying to market and to develop their businesses for a range of water solutions, digital, non-digital, hardware, software, wastewater, drinking water, pretty much the gamut of solutions providers. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of our thoughts on how digitalization is happening in the water sector and the positive impact that it can make.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Keith. It's great to have you. So I think we can jump right in and tuck into today's topic. So we're gonna kind of broadly begin on what is in many ways the pinnacle of digitalization in the water sector at the moment, which is digital twins. It's become a bit of a buzzword in the industry, and today we're gonna kind of take a look at what exactly are digital twins. Does our problem holder even need one in the first place? And what are some of the other digital tools and techniques they can deploy to solve their problem? So I'll start with a few questions posed to both Marina and Keith. You can choose who wants to go first and add your insights. And then following that, we'll have a few specific questions for each of our panelists today. So the first question is going to be, what is a digital twin? What do you understand by a digital twin? Keith, do you want to go first?
Sure. So digital twin, beyond the buzzword, I think we would call that a virtual representation of a set of assets that are being managed by an operations team and also a planning team on at a water network system operator. The elements of digital twin can be diverse. I think that's where, it's almost more of an organizing principle at this point of what kind of data you have, what sort of assets you're trying to represent, and what you're actually doing with them. And there are different permutations or combination of that, whether you're talking about just having a SCADA system that is providing data on a treatment plan, and you are able to have some visualizations of that data and run some simulations with it. I think that's a key function of digital twin. But as you can imagine, that could be applied to other types of assets. It could be for other uses, just for visibility, or you could be trying to use a digital twin to actually make some command and control decisions around how to actually operate the assets. So I think for me, there isn't one set formula about it, which makes it kind of an abstract concept. But the point at the end of the day is leveraging certain basic data sets to view your assets and then do something with them.
Yes, I think building upon what Keith was mentioning, one of the most important aspects of a digital twin is that you must be able to ask what if type questions. What happens if, what happens if? They're not only representations or digital representations or descriptions of physical assets, water systems in this case, but you also must be able to ask what happens if I change the pressure, what happens if the influent doubles, what happens if nutrient inload is tripled. And that's where the models come, right? Because if you only have you have data set and you have a display, then that's sort of descriptive. When you have algorithms and you have models, that's like the core of the digital twin, and that's where you are able to ask this what if type questions, which is what brings or unlocks the real value of having a digital twin. If you have a very powerful question, be it operational driven or be it cost efficient driven, then the digital twin will be able to provide an answer, and that's when you will be able to unlock the power of the digital twin or the value.
Yeah, I think that almost looking into the future and being able to predict, that is definitely one of the most significant advantages of a digital twin. And I think what excites a lot of people working with complex systems such as water systems. So if in this case, the problem holder operates wastewater management systems, so if they want to implement a digital twin, what are some of the building blocks that they're going to need? Imagine a toolbox to put together, and what are some of the first steps they're going to need to take to reach that stage of a digital twin that they can actually use?
If you want, I can start this one, Keith. Okay, so I think, and we were seeing this in some of the solutions that were presented today. One of the most important steps, of course, is, having mapped your physical infrastructure and everything that you want to build as a digital twin. And then, as I was saying, like we were seeing in many of the solutions, the sensors, which is the data, what is going to be feeding the models or the display, depending on what level of complexity you want to do for this particular case. And here we saw it, right? We had many of the proposers doing more like on the sensor side, on the data side. This is very important because if you want to build or you want to carry out any digital transformation, data is king, right? You need to have good data. You need to have relevant data, and you want to have a good data management strategy. So that's one of the parts. Then you would go, like I was saying before, to the model side, the algorithms, the systems that are going to take the data and they're going to turn them into meaningful answers to any questions that we might have. Here, let's say that the most important part or what we see is the display part, right? What output comes from the model, you have to be able, the operator, the problem holder, let's say, should have a meaningful display of the answers provided by the digital twin. And then, of course, we haven't talked much about it yet, but the actuators or the controllers, let's say, if it would make no sense, right? If you have an answer and you have an operational strategy, or you should do this at this point, if you don't have any way of acting in the infrastructure, be it manually or automatically, then it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like you would need these parts. So physical infrastructure, do I have everything I need? Sensors, data, and whether it's a physical sensor or it's a virtual sensor. This is something also interesting to tackle. And I think we will touch more on that a little bit after this. The models, the algorithms, what provides the answer, the displays to be able to understand what answers have been provided, and then controllers and actuators are key.
Great. Yeah, I think just to add to that, I mean, all that stuff obviously is critical, and what you also really need is people that are coordinating all this. And I think that's one of the interesting things about digital twin, as Marina was saying, how you can ask these what if questions. You do need somebody who is there in a position to cross that data, to see how it all fits together, and to coordinate some kind of response to it. Because a lot of times, you have certain data that gets very siloed, whether it's with the operations team or the engineering team or the planning team, or there's someone else who does modeling, and all that kind of modeling stuff isn't fully networked together. So having somebody on the people side that's pulling all these building blocks together, I think, is critical.
Yeah, thanks, Keith and Marina. I think it's nice to see how you brought both people and technology. It's not just a technological solution when you're dealing with such a complex system. You have to consider both. I mean, we're speaking about digital twins. It's a lot of work to create one. So does the problem holder need one in this situation? What do you think?
I can jump there because Keith was smiling. I'll take that as a sign. I think that my personal belief, and I think that we have seen this also in the solutions proposed, is that you don't need a digital twin in the strict sense of the word. We have seen many solutions that were digitalization of data, so how to capture data and how to put data together, and then just displays, right? So in the workflow that we were presenting before, the models or the algorithms probably wouldn't be necessary, at least in an initial stage of solving the problem. Because what you need is, okay, I have these separate plants, they are remote, they have unstructured data that is, in different databases or in different formats, and what you need to do is bring them together and have some meaningful indicators, indexes, and then those can be used by an untrained operator, like Javier was saying, to take several decisions in terms of operation and maintenance of the plants. So at a first stage of implementation, and as the solution providers were rightfully so, I think, showing, you wouldn't need to build complex models.
Yeah, I guess maybe another way of framing that is, it's really the problem that a system operator has and the resources they have, which can probably dictate whether or not they need a digital twin and how you actually define that. And I mean, in terms of the problem, like how acute is it? I mean, do they have consistent stormwater overflows that they're unable to deal with? Or is it something very gradual that they see coming in the long term? So what is it exactly the problem that they're trying to solve, or set of problems that they think may be aided by these tools? And the second part of that is just around the resources aspect of it. And as Marina was saying, sometimes just being able to visualize a piece of the infrastructure and getting a certain set of data is enough on a smaller scale versus, if you are a huge utility, if you do have the resources, if you realize that in the long term, you're going to get more lifetime out of your assets by creating a more robust twin that's going to pull in a lot of those elements, a lot of those building blocks that Marina was saying before, then it could make sense. So, maybe kind of a squishy answer here in terms of it depends, but it does.
Yeah, and I think kind of the golden thread through that, what both of you are saying, is that technology needs to meet plant operators where they are. And each one has a specific set of challenges that kind of determines what steps they should take to solve their context-specific issue. So with that, yeah, sorry.
And just adding an additional point is that we don't need to build a digital twin from scratch necessarily, right? We can be doing an incremental type of approach. I think that's the wisest, because firstly, what you want to do is get your data together, and then from that, you can have firstly a simple type, very lean solution that is very cost effective. But of course, that's a base platform for anything that you want to build upon, any other sensors that you want to add, and of course, any model that you want to build and train on top of that. So I think digital twins, in many senses, are an incremental process. For small, big, or any utility, the most practical way is, okay, you go building layer upon layer.
Thanks, Marina. Yeah, and just to maybe get a bit specific, what other digital tools and techniques do you think that the problem holder could adopt in order to manage the plants remotely for that specific problem? What are some of the tools available to them?
Well, I can kind of answer that, Marina. I mean, going back to the sort of the building blocks point before, I mean, you need a geographical information system, which has an inventory of all your assets. That's like ground zero, right? You usually need some kind of SCADA system that gives you some basic information, what's going on in there, dosage levels or storage tank levels and things like that. That SCADA system is connected to probably some sensors, maybe out on the network, some remote telemetry units, data loggers. Usually would have a modeling tool that could perhaps try and figure out different scenarios depending on the amount of precipitation or wastewater flows or things like that. And then another thing, I mean, to be able to manage more remotely is like the computerized maintenance management system or enterprise asset management system, where you're basically keeping a record of all the maintenance actions you're doing and then doing work order management based on that. And so the idea here being that, over time, you can analyze that data and say, well, wait a minute, we realize that we don't need to roll a truck when things look like this on our data dashboard versus if they're here, that we do definitely need to move people. So the whole idea of remote management is a huge plus for a lot of these digital solutions. It doesn't have to be a twin, but obviously it has to be implemented in a way that you can trust it, and it's being calibrated so that it's reliable and has to be maintained as well.
Yeah, just to add upon that, one of the fields that at least to me is super interesting and is fascinating is the novel sensing or let's say soft sensors also, which is in a world where we need to go digital and you need a lot of data, but you don't have a lot of sensors on site. What kind of new sensing technologies can we develop so that we can feed relevant and good quality data to our models? And you can have from virtual sensors, which are sensors that derive complex measurements from more simple parameters that can be measured with physical sensors that are very cheap. And then you can drive like risk of formation of this compound, for instance, out of, let's say, TSS and BOD, for instance, or all the field that opens with remote sensing and satellite images, computer vision, and everything that you can derive from an image taken on site. We were seeing examples, for instance, of digitalization of a picture of a, let's say, sensor that is a flow meter, for instance. But of course, you can put a camera on your activated sludge, and that's giving you an information how the settling process is happening, or the biological transformation system is going, and many other examples, right? And I think this is this is a field. It's also digital. Everything is digital here too. But it's a way of overcoming something that is a problem, which is that we need a lot of data, and sensors are expensive and are difficult to maintain and so on. So I think this is something that we will see developing in parallel. We're already seeing like computer vision as a mature artificial intelligence technology that we can use in many use cases. We can find a lot of uses for it, for instance, in the problem holders case. And I think it's a fascinating field that we're going to see a lot of things happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Marina's making an important point, though, is that like up till very recently, a lot of the focus on digitalization and data visualization, it's been on the treatment plant. So like more centralized vertical assets. And what we're expecting, at least in our research, and we've projected, billions being spent over the next 5-10 years, is putting more of these sensors out on the network. I mean, literally like a tidal wave of installations of data loggers and sensors probably needs to happen if you're going to get a lot of value out of some of these other technologies, these analytics technologies that are based on them. And that's huge because, I mean, not everybody realizes it, but like once the water flows out of a treatment plant, like they don't know what's going on, the quality of that water every kilometer of a network, right? I mean, they've got some flow meters out there. They've got some quality sensors. They're regulated to do tap tests X times a month, but they don't know everything that's going on. And definitely that's the case like inside of a sewer network. There's huge gaps there in terms of what they know is going on inside of the sewer network, right? So the more that operators understand and that they can get so much value out of this and the cost comes down and the maintenance gets better of these solutions will be a huge deal. I mean, we're still like, there's still a lot to be done in terms of rolling out sensors on networks to understand what's happening.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. That kind of perfectly moves us on to our next question. Kind of, we've been building, and now we're kind of looking at what are the first steps. And I think you've both spoken a lot about sensors. So would you say that's the first step that the problem holder should take, or is there some other starting point that you'd choose?
I can go ahead then. I think that, and we were sort of mentioning it in a subtle way, but the first step that you need to take is having a clear question that you want to answer. And this is many times is underrated because digital twins have become also such a buzzword that many times we lose perspective, that we need to have a clear objective, a clear problem that is being set out, and what are the questions that we want to answer. And then we determine what kind of sensors we need, what kind of data we need, what kind of model we need, and actuators, display, and so on. And this is, of course, obvious, but at the same time, we see in many cases where full models are being built with AI technology, reinforced learning, and so on and so forth. But there's no clear business or operational question that we see is going to be answered by modeling certain types of assets.
Yeah, no, and I think that what question you need to ask also needs to flow into the semblance of a business case. If it's just going to be like an R&D project where you prove that, you can optimize the treatment plant operation by predicting flows, okay, that's good. But for these things to scale and to really make an impact, you need to try and build in there some sort of thinking about, how much money is this going to save us in terms of energy cost or treatment chemicals or manpower, et cetera. And I think that's where, some technologies right now are still in that phase where they're definitely useful. It's just hard to box in the business case around them. Like there's a lot of like doing real-time water quality sensing it would be great, but you can't necessarily quantify it in the way that some would like. Meaning, you can't say if we reduce X amount of spikes in chlorine levels, that's going to mean what financially, or if there is no penalty for a certain amount of leakage on our network, then as great as it is to save water, if financially it doesn't really matter and we're in a water abundant place, then what's the business case around this stuff, right? So I think at Bluefield, we spent a lot of time trying to sort of see how a lot of solutions providers bridge that gap between what's neat and technically is great and has a lot of potential applications to, okay, what is actually going to kind of find its way in the market.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, I think you guessed my next question there, which was about building that business case and how you're going to actually drive this investment. So you did touch on that, but do you have any more thoughts about exactly what ways they can? You spoke a bit about the data and the benefits. So how would they go about quantifying the benefits of making a digital transformation in order to justify making the investment in the first place?
Yeah, no, and I think this is connected to what Marina said before about sometimes it needs to be kind of incremental, because the business case may not be there for this gigantic system approach where you're deploying, thousands and thousands of sensors. Then in 5 to 10 years time, you're going to have this awesome digital twin, which is going to reduce your staffing needs by half. It doesn't really work like that, right? You end up with finding a bunch of quick wins, I think, well, quick or lower hanging fruit in terms of savings. And then you can kind of string them together. That leads towards probably more like a digital twin. So a couple of examples I would give would be on smart metering and on energy optimization projects. So those involve digital solutions like smart metering, just getting a better handle on how much consumption is happening. And then that is directly connected to, well, two things. It's connected directly to the customer because they sit physically at their premises, but also that's what you're billing, and that's how you make money, right? And that's what funds a big chunk of the operations for a water utility. So metering is one thing where, just doing that as a starting point, there's a clear business case around that because, a lot of networks know that there are a bunch of unmetered customers out there, or there are ones that, their meters are off, or they're old, or they're not functioning, et cetera. So getting that lockdown, that's like one very clear business case, and you can see it in adoption, right? A lot of times when funding becomes available to do digitalization stuff, it ends up being a smart metering project because there you can see very tangible results, yeah? But beyond the customer data that you get from those meters could lead to, optimizing district metering areas, to understanding better how to manage pressure on your network. There's a lot of other incremental things that you can build off of the data that you might get from that smart metering project who had a clear business case around it. The second example I would give is around the energy efficiency stuff, which has more to do with just pumping optimization. So there it's very clear, and energy costs have been going through the roof in Europe. We know why, and that's taken a huge hit both for industrial but also municipal customers. So if you can come up with, you can install more energy efficient pumps, the way they start and stop, when they run, at what speed they run, how they're connected to storage tanks and things like that. That has a very clear impact on operational expenditure. And then again, putting sensors on those pipes to do that, you get a lot of other data there that then you could probably feed into your digital twin or some longer term project. So I'm going to stop talking now, but those are a couple examples.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, and I think sometimes when we speak about business and investment, we can also forget that these systems are existing. Utilities, water sector, it's very much related to the public sector as well, and government. So that brings us to my question for you, Marina, which is around public and private partnerships. So what will be the role, do you think, of public-private collaboration in solving the problem holders' problem?
Mm-hmm. I think that if you are talking about, and you're absolutely right, in the water sector, Many times we are closely related and solving problems of the public administration, municipalities, public entities, and so on. And I think more and more as technology development is becoming more and more accelerated, we see that the partnerships between these public entities and private companies that are at the cutting edge, let's say, of technology development and adoption is becoming absolutely critical. There are plenty of examples. In Zetaqua, we are actually a public-private collaboration model. We have utilities, private utilities, university, and a public research entity in our let's say scheme, in our governance scheme, and we work closely with all of these different entities. One paradigmatic case that I know closely from my activity is the case of Aguas de Barcelona. Aguas de Barcelona is also a public-private governance scheme for water management. And here we have done, I think in record time, let's say, the development of a digital twin for the pumping stations that has been very successful in doing predictive maintenance that has already, it's one of these low-hanging fruits that Keith was mentioning before. And it has worked so well that we have established a digital twin lab where we have this sort of problem-driven digital twin development. So when the utility is finding an interesting question that is operational or is business-driven, then we are trying to see what digital twin is going to solve that, and then we are developing and implementing it. So these types of schemes that are flexible, that are driven not on, oh, I want to have a digital twin, let's program a digital twin right now, but are more like incremental and are driven on powerful questions. You absolutely need flexible schemes. You need private entities, and you need universities, you need research centers coming in and being able to work towards doing this in a reasonable time frame and with an appropriate impact.
Thanks, Marina. So, Keith, what funding mechanisms might be available to the problem holder for the digital transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of the funding channels that have always been. I mean, part of it is whatever fees you're charging your user base, obviously. There's, if you're a system operator, there's municipal bond financing schemes that are out there, but then there's also obviously some additional grants and R&D type funding. So there's obviously Spain right now through the PERTES has a big tranche of its recovery funding that's going to be dedicated to digitalizing the water sector. So there are specific programs out there which have certain mandates in terms of stimulating digital transformation. I think that, we're still waiting to see really how that's going to make an impact on the market, if we're just going to see, some short-term R&D projects, or is this really going to be a big push towards deploying all the sensors and transforming digitally, especially kind of mid and smaller size utilities that are beyond some of the big cities. But there is funding out there. There's EU funding. And then, so I think it's a matter of framing a project that fits with those different channels.
An addition to that, Keith, would be public procurement schemes that are becoming more and more common with municipalities and public entities. And I think this is a tool that we're seeing, like we are a part of several of them. And this is one of these public-private collaboration frameworks, right? Where municipalities are able to say, hey, I have this problem. How can the market or technology available help me to solve this? And I think this has huge potential.
Yeah, thanks both. And I think now we can kind of zoom out a little bit. And I mean, we have the context right now of the water sector sitting within challenges like climate change, aging infrastructure, rising costs. And I think digital technologies offer a lot of opportunities to overcome these challenges. So for both of you, do you think the future of water is digital?
No doubt. I mean,
now he says no.
No doubt, no. I mean, I guess, is the future digital? And it's kind of a philosophical question. I mean, I guess the question for me would be, to what extent will it be digital? And I think that really gets determined by the people aspect of it. And I'm sure you guys are probably tired of hearing again and again, you know, technology is nothing without people. And it's true, because otherwise, you know, a lot of money gets thrown around and it doesn't really make an impact. And then especially, you know, what I've seen with like large cities that kind of trailblaze and sort of show a region or a country what you can do with this stuff because they have the resources. If they don't do it right, then sometimes smaller cities and towns, they don't get the resources for it, or they think we shouldn't bother with this stuff because look what they did in, you know, this city or that, right? So I think that, you know, yes, the future is digital, but like the pace of it and how impactful it is, like in our lifetimes, is going to have a lot to do with that people component of it.
I think Keith is absolutely right. Of course, the future is digital because, I mean, we're seeing that the present is already digital. So the future will be more and more digital. At the same time, and when we look at the water sector, sometimes I feel that there's missing more leadership of the water sector. Of course, we know that we are very much linked to the constraints that many times the public sector rightfully has to have. And there's a reason for that. But at the same time, I feel that we need to become very ambitious. We have seen now how we are leaders, right, in environmental value proposals, right, that we are being able to extend to other sectors, and we are able to collaborate with different types of organizations. And the water sector has been pioneer in many ways and in many of these things. Like we have been, let's say, doing biogas ever since anyone can remember. And now, you know, biogas is the thing, or hydrogen, or any other type of energy vector that can come from residues. And that's one example, but in sustainability, we have been leaders. Right? What's going to happen with digital? Are we going to be able to have the leadership that we need to be an example? Or are we going to lag behind because we're going to see more the difficulties and we're not going to be able to capture the opportunity? I think here, having ambitious leaders in the public sector and having ambitious leaders in the private sector that are able to persuade and are able to help traction the transformation is going to be absolutely key. And in this sense, for me, the people comes absolutely, it's absolutely first.
Anything you'd like to add, Keith?
Well, yeah, I mean, just around the leadership thing, I'm looking in the chat here. Cora has a question about, at an urban scale, how can digital systems be regulated and in sync so that they don't work in isolation? And the whole isolation thing is very important, like what Maria was saying about leadership, because, you know, the leadership, they need to kind of be evangelists and visionaries, right? But they still have to have their feet on the ground. And it is true that is what happens, is that a lot of best practices do get siloed in an organization unless you have that sort of unifying figure. And I'm not sure you can regulate your way out of that. I mean, it's partly ingrained in the culture of how different infrastructures work or in different regions of the world, how they embrace or don't technology, and it may have to do with resources or another approach to engineering, let's say. But I think, you know, the leadership aspect of it to get the most out of the technologies is super important. Regulating it, you know, it'd be great if, like, when you tied some R&D funding to creating working groups and, you know, putting out reports of best practices, that's probably helpful. But you really, at the end of the day, need people who drive this forward.
Yeah, definitely. Coming back to that people again, aren't we, Keith? So yeah, it's really what we can kind of see emerging is that there are the technologies, they are available, but that it's a big part of driving that transformation is collaboration. It's working together across sectors, across industries. So is there anything either of you would like to add? Otherwise, I can give a summary of the session and we can close, unless you have any further thoughts or ideas.
I think one of the ideas that I would like to stress is the incremental type approaches that we have mentioned several times, and it's also related to the question that was being posed to the panel. Let's not try to build perfect at the first stage. It's not going to work. Of course, the ideal world is that everything is interconnected, and of course, we always have to think of interoperability and that systems are going to be compatible, and at some point, everything is going to make sense. But we need to focus on delivering success stories at this point, because if we're not able to do that, if we just stay at the I want to build perfect, and then when I build perfect, I don't know what it's for, or I want to have all these very complex systems put together, and it's too costly, I don't have the people, I don't have the means to do that, then we're not going to be progressing in an adequate pace. So let's identify those low-hanging fruits. Let's go with that. Let's start building success stories, and then everything will follow after, if we are able to design things in a way that we can do incremental type work.
Yeah. Thanks, Marina. So thanks to our audience out there. That brings us to the conclusion of this session. So just to a quick recap, we were looking at the problem holders problem, which was that they want to manage the wastewater treatment works remotely, so that one manager doesn't have to go daily to check up on that. And we chatted about digital twins. We spoke a bit about what they are, and whether the problem holder even needs one. And I think one of the big takeaways was, as Marina stressed, is to ask the question of what is it we actually need to achieve, what steps do we need to get there, and also being pragmatic about the funding. Not every utility is going to have the funding available to have a massive digital twin infrastructure, which I'm sure all of us would like, but it's something that is built out progressively over time. And each utility, each company has context-specific challenges. There was a lot of talk about incremental approach from both of the panelists, taking things one step at a time. Just because you can't do everything all at once doesn't mean you shouldn't begin the journey, and start with low-hanging fruit, which speaks to that a lot. We also spoke a bit more about the need for strong leadership in the water sector. So that's leadership from public figures, as well as from the private sector and academia as well, to create an ecosystem that we need to take the sector to the next level. And that speaks to being more ambitious as well, and working together, collaborating within the sector, outside the sector, and beyond. So thank you, Marina and Keith. It's been great to have you today. I'm sure we could have talked forever about digital transformation in water. It's really the hot topic at the moment, and for many reasons other than just what we've spoken about today. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marina and Keith, and of course, Sion, for the great moderation. I think it's been a great discussion, some key messages that we take with us, and I love the contributions, not to go beyond the technological angles, but also that we need the people behind and that we need the leadership to really advance in this direction and transformation. So, and I totally agree that successful stories or case studies that can inspire and mobilize people is key. That's what we are all trying to do, bringing this knowledge here, sharing ideas and experiences. So thank you for being part of the network, and we keep in touch and continue the conversation. Thank you. Great. So we are now gathering all the participants from today's competition. So 6 companies that presented their work. We also have here the jury, which have been deliberated over the past hour about the winners of the competition. And I think we are now in a good position to welcome back Lydia as one of the jury members that will be representing and sharing the insights from the deliberation that I know that it's been very difficult, but very exciting, and looking forward to know more.
Well, hello everyone. I think I'm very happy to participate in this competition because we had 6 very worthy and good solutions, and it was a hard time for us to select because there were only 2 prizes, so we had to make some sort of selection among them, and that was a hard deliberation because all of the 6 had merits, had good parts, had promising things, and so it was very hard for us to come to a decision to distinguish among them and select 2 of them. So there were many things that we had to discuss, and in the end, we came to the 2 that distinguished themselves. I'll start from the second prize. The second prize goes to BioWave. We know that it's a solution that has to do with sludge, with the energy from sludge, because it has to do with wastewater treatment and sludge. It's very relevant, the new technology they're proposing on about many targets of the European Commission, for instance, the Green Deal targets. It's useful for the energy crisis we have, and they have a promising technical solution. So congratulations, BioWave.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best. We wish you to go forward, to find pilots, to increase your innovation, and to be successful.
I really appreciate it. Thank you to you and all the judges. It's excellent.
And then we go to the first prize. And I have to say that it was almost a tie. I mean, we had a hard time distinguishing between the second and the first. But in the end, the first prize goes to SenseFix. Wow, SenseFix, congratulations.
Thank you very
was a
much.
very good innovation, innovative, promising. It does things that, or combines ideas that are needed for the water operators and the water utilities of any kind. You have a lot of things that are included, promising good things, the maintenance, the automatic, or I would say the assisting the maintenance of equipment in utilities is very promising. You have also artificial intelligence, and this can further improve. You can include more things on artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is your ally at the moment to make it more sophisticated, but we have the basis there. And it's in line, I would say, with the current trends, where we need the digital solutions to assist the operators rather than replace them. So, congratulations, SenseFix. That was a very good presentation, and all the best for the future of your innovation.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate this opportunity, and we would look forward to some help from some of you when we are successful with implementations to get into the EU, let's say the policy makers, radar to achieve our vision of creating such a, the water footprint for the EU industry. Yeah, I think that's a very hard thing for a startup to do, but we will try our best, and we would expect your support.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Balaji and the team at SenseFix. Really great done. And thank you, Lydia, for sharing your insights. Great. So let's continue with the special prize actually given by Cadagua. And I would like to call Javier to come on screen.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I must say that it has it hasn't been an easy decision. Okay, yeah, we have had several communications with all of them, and also some online meetings with some of them, trying to fine tune our needs and with their scope and capabilities. Finally, we have concentrated on 3 of them. With the 3 of them have clear capabilities to fulfill our challenge, but a decision has to be taken. And finally, our decision goes for SenseFix as well. We think that their proposal fully satisfy our needs, and also they have contributed with even some additional ideas that enrich. We believe that they enrich even further the project. So congratulations, SenseFix. And thanks a lot to everybody else, of course.
So thank you, Javier. Looking forward to implementing the POC with your great organization. Yeah, we will do a good job, and we expect your support in the POC implementation. Yeah, thank you very much.
See you soon in Valencia.
Thank you.
Well done, Balaji and the team. So congratulations again. And I'm sure that's a great journey ahead working in collaboration with Cadagua. So thank you, Javier, for the opportunity and for being part of this program throughout this time. Okay, so with this, we come to the final remarks from our colleague Jesus from EIT to provide us with some final notes on this experience that you've been having over the past months and especially on this event today.
Thank you very much for organizing it. Thank you very much to all the participants. So it was a very fruitful morning, and I'm looking forward to see all the results of these collaborations. Thank you very much to all of you.
Congratulations again to everyone. Well done. And I think we want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on the programs of EIT, especially on the InnoWise Scale water scarcity program, because every year they run these competitions. Today we conclude with the EIT Digital event, the water series around Road to 2030. We want to keep looking at the state of the art of the water systems, but also looking at the future and highlight and path the way to a better system management and really to try to be more transversal and multi-stakeholder and also bringing more ideas from different perspectives. So I hope you enjoyed these past days of competitions. I hope that the exchanges and the opportunities of collaboration emerge from here, and we hope to keep in touch. So thank you as well from all the Revolve team for inviting us to be part of this series. It's been a pleasure to organize these events, and we keep it learning about water. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a good day ahead.